Tell us a little bit about what you saw and being able to relay that message to Cora when you watched Kimbrel pitch and kind of help out so he wasn't tipping his pitches.
So tipping pitches, we hear about it all the time.
People at home understand what tipping pitches is all about.
It's amazing.
And that's remarkable.
Alex, I was watching the Wimbledon final this morning, which I know you were as well. You wear a tennis hat here on our baseball podcast.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, okay, like in 2018, we were real what if baseball was basketball energy. Are we now what if baseball was tennis? Is that the type of pod we are?
Say more. I don't know. I don't think that's where my head is at. What is it about tennis that you think baseball needs to tap into? I'm curious.
The players are cooler.
Just that's fair.
Which is what we used to say about basketball. This isn't even what I wanted to talk about, but like
I know.
It just came up. Oh man. Carlos is in trouble. He's in big trouble. Anyway, I was watching and I heard an ad. It was for IBM. And the ad copy was this. Don't use AI trained on just any old data. You know, I was like, oh, they had us in the first half. Don't use AI. Let's go.
Right. Yep.
Trained on any old data. Use AI trained on your data.
Your data. Yep. Knew that was coming. Knew it. Also, what do you mean don't use AI trained on any old data? It is already trained on my data.
Yeah, exactly.
It's trained on all of our data.
There's no AI that's not trained on my data, especially as a podcaster. We've trained AI so much. I want tribunals. I want recompense. I want it. I want that. I was really upset by that. This has nothing to do with baseball, but I know that people really love our sort of media criticism with regards to ads. You know, First we had bespoke AI appliances. Now we have AI trained on your data.
Many people are saying we're the reason that Grok was so woke. Actually,
was
because it just you and I
trained on our data
because it trained
from
on
all our
data.
years of posting.
Yeah. Right.
Is that a winning message? AI trained on your data? Does that make more? I mean, they must have tested it, right? They must have beta tested it, but still.
I mean, I think it's probably intended for like companies, right? It's like if you're a company,
once again,
you can train the AI on your data and then it knows your company front to back.
Why are companies advertising to other companies during my sports? Used to be that they would just advertise Marlboro Reds or whatever during your sport because they knew that the person sitting at home was going to smoke.
I know that that this is not the most effective way to reach the CEOs you're looking to reach.
Right? No.
What you think?
If you wanted to reach the CEOs, then you would just go on A-Rod's podcast.
Watching the Wimbledon final and being like, oh, AI trained on my data? Really?
Oh, it's a dark time we live in. It's a dark time we live in, but we're here to bring some laughs. We're here to bring some laughs to the masses. That is you listening at home.
Yeah, and on All-Star Week, no less, right? I mean, we have an episode this week that we think is going to really just fit the vibe of the festivities that are going on around the sport right now.
Right, exactly. We had a big long business meeting on Saturday talking about how to grow the show, you know, how to reach more people. And so we decided the first step along that path was during All-Star Week, we should talk for a really long time about a very specific business structure within minor league baseball. And that's what we're going to do today with friend of the podcast, Jen Ramos Eisen. And of course, you know what else we have to talk about? A massive, titanic oversight on our part.
Yeah.
Some might call it an intergalactic oversight on our part. That we talked about a New Jersey patch last week for the Washington Nationals, AARP, the artist formerly known as the American Association of Retired Peoples. Little did we know, it made no noise that the Colorado Rockies announced a New Jersey patch. So we are going to place them on our list of the most evil jersey sponsors before Jen joins us to talk about Diamond Baseball Holdings. Before we do all that, Alex, I'm Bobby Wagner.
I'm Alex Basin.
And you are listening to Tipping Pitches. It really grinds my gears that Rolex really won the tennis wars.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts.
What Grand Seiko would have been your preferred
Grand Seiko,
sponsor?
but yes.
Seiko? All right, sure, whatever.
You're like the Inglorious Bastards meme, bro. You held up the wrong 3 fingers, bro.
Correct. Though, you know what? I'm okay to hold up my 3 fingers on that.
I feel like Omega would have been better.
Okay.
But they missed the boat, I think. Rolex won when it comes to sports advertising. That's all right. Marty was in a Rolex commercial. Martin Scorsese, my grandpa. Thanks to this week's new patrons, Sean, Greg, Katie, and Chris. Feeling really normal during this episode. We're going to talk about the Colorado Rockies. But before we do, I need to remind people about the Kansas City meetup. We're doing a meetup at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City on September 6th. For listeners and friends of the show, many of you filled out a form responding that you would like to join us for this meeting, September 6th, Kansas City. Going to keep reminding people. That's less than 2 months away, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you did fill out that form, I put you on a group email explaining how to get your tickets and how to pay us for them. Now, unfortunately, it seems that email went to spam for quite a few folks. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, I remember filling out that survey, but I didn't receive an email, the chances are we're buried under a lot of princes who need a little bit of money to get back home to their kingdom. So please go check your spam. And if you still can't find it, go ahead and shoot us an individual email, tippingpitchespod@gmail.com, explaining that you want to come to the Kansas City meetup. And I will respond to that and tell you how you can get your tickets. Tickets are $39. They're all part of one big group section, so we'll be sitting together. And I do believe an enterprising listener, there has been talk of that enterprising listener setting up a little bit of a tailgate beforehand. So maybe we'll have more details on that as we head towards September 6th at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. I personally am pretty excited.
I'm pretty hyped.
Pretty excited. Have you realized that we can't drive to it yet?
Say more.
On the podcast a month ago, you were like, maybe we could drive. It's like a 25-hour drive.
Oh. Still sounds like a skill issue to me, but that's fair. Okay.
We show up to the meetup and neither of us have slept for 25 straight hours. What's up? Let's get into it. Okay. Rockies jersey patch.
Yes.
This is now the second straight week that I'm explaining this exercise, but a year and a half ago, probably. No, a year ago. I don't know. Last year, we created an episode specifically dedicated to ranking the jersey patches, the sponsors that are advertising on the sleeve of Major League Baseball jerseys, by how evil they are, from least evil to most evil. Number 1 is the most evil. Number 26 is the least evil. This is how we did it. We have been since updating that list as we get new teams announcing jersey patches or changing their jersey patch. So last week, we updated it to add AARP. They finished in second to last, which is to say they are not very evil. We've received some feedback, I have to say, on how evil hospitals are as employers. And I got to say, a lot of good points were being made.
Yep.
Will Alex have a come to Jesus look in the mirror moment? No, I don't know. I don't know. You're the mastermind of this operation.
It's true. I've already been slighted with a prior placement that actually warranted in our book a reevaluation, a replacement.
Yeah, we are not above reproach.
Absolutely not,
and we would never claim to be. No.
Well, this podcast is a place for open and honest criticism of ourselves included. So if we're not upholding the standard that you've come to expect from us, let us know.
Yeah, but don't be mean about it, though.
Well, right. Be nice, please.
It's hard to do a podcast.
We are very fragile and have thin skin.
No, I have a pretty thick skin.
Good. That's good.
I'm not emotional.
That's why you always stand in front of me.
I'm not sensitive. Not at all. Not at all.
Nope. No.
Not at all.
Should we rank this New Jersey patch?
Yeah, we're not here to talk about AARP. We're leaving that where it is for now. Maybe we'll have a reappraisal next year or whatever. I don't know.
Well,
It's
I
second to
thought
last.
that the criticism was around New York press, I thought.
No, I know, but I think a lot of people were saying that like you guys are wrong. AARP is way less evil than New York
less
press.
evil. Got it. That's fair.
Not necessarily that New York press should be like ninth or anything like that.
right.
No, the Rockies signed a contract with. Let me check my notes here. York Space Systems, founded in 2012. Any space company that was founded when I was in high school is a major red flag.
Mm-hmm.
York is a defense technology company transforming how the U.S. builds and operates space-based capabilities. Beyond the Jersey patch, the expansive partnership, Alex, establishes York as the exclusive aerospace partner of the Rockies. Wouldn't want them partnering up with a second aerospace company. We got to make sure this is an exclusive relationship.
The exclusive one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our baseball team can't be having dalliances with other aerospace technology defense companies. I mean, that would be beyond the pale.
They recently announced, that is York Space Systems, recently announced a new partnership with the U.S. government for satellite services. They said in their statement that this is aimed at delivering, quote, critical national security capabilities as a service. Why is everything as a fucking service?
Yeah.
That's my first question.
Software as a service. This is SaaS in its own way. Satellites as a service.
Kunisikas is, I think, how you would say that acronym.
I liked satellites as a service better.
I completely agree.
Can I read you a quote from the founder and CEO of York? Mm-hmm. A man whose name is Dirk Wallinger. Fucking Paul Thomas Anderson-ass name. This partnership marks a first for our industry and a powerful reflection of what York stands for, said Wallinger, founder and CEO of York. It's about, this is, by the way, this is from the MLB.com article. The call's coming from inside the house. It's about celebrating Colorado's spirit of innovation, connecting with a broader audience, and making it clear that the space economy is growing fast and it's being built at home. Come on, bro. What does any of that mean?
I love reading articles that say, as Space News pointed out last year, York is building its satellites for the Pentagon for about half the cost Lockheed is charging.
Oh.
Cost advantage, brother.
Yeah. This is like when Uber came in and started giving cheap rides, and then they started bumping up the prices like 10 years later. Mm-hmm, they had to price out the taxis, you know? And in this case, Lockheed Martin is the taxi lobby.
Right? And York Space Systems is the Uber.
Move fast, break
of
stuff.
Space.
Yeah.
And it's being made at home. Don't forget that.
They're intending to move fast and break some stuff. The stuff in question, maybe other countries.
To be determined. All right. So we have a space contractor that traffics in
weapons manufacturing.
National security related facilities. They exist to serve contracts from the DoD and DARPA, the intelligence community,
the deep state.
The deep state, in other words. Yes, exactly.
Okay, can I?
So we're okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I give you a range that I think that they should almost definitely be in?
Yes.
Top 7.
Yep.
So remind people, the top 7 right now. Number 7, Cincinnati Reds with Kroger, an evil grocery store chain who is creating food deserts in underprivileged communities all across this great nation. Mm-hmm. Number 6, the Philadelphia Phillies with Independence Blue Cross, IBX. That is a healthcare company. We need not say more about that. Number 5, the Los Angeles Dodgers with Guggenheim. That is also the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers. That is one of the biggest private equity firms in the world. Number 4 is the St. Louis Cardinals with Stifel. Also a private equity firm?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Great. Don't know how we differentiated between those two. Number 3, the Cleveland Guardians with Marathon. That's a gas company. Number 2, the Texas Rangers with Energy Transfer. That's also a gas company. And number 1, the Houston Astros with Oxy, aka Occidental Petroleum. That's also a gas company.
Right. I think that there is an argument for it to be placed pretty much anywhere within that top 7.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it outflanks, say, Oxy on Evil, although I'd hear a case for that.
It just doesn't have the track record.
It doesn't have the track record. Exactly. Right. It's the young, hot rookie. You can see the potential there. Right.
Jacob Mizorowski should not be in the All-Star game. We cannot put York number 1.
Yeah. 80 grade surveillance potential.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just absolutely. My initial thinking is that it probably falls just below the energy companies.
Yeah.
And I think your mileage could vary on whether or not it goes above Stifel and Guggenheim or right below. And maybe I would lean right below Guggenheim.
Okay.
It's sort of a choose your fighter because it's like they are a military contractor backed by private equity. and Guggenheim and Stifel are the private equity. I mean, it's not like the private equity that's investing in York, but they have their own defense contracts. I am certain of it.
Hand, meat, glove.
So I don't know. What
totally
do you think? Do we
agree.
put them at like 6?
I think that they
4
are definitely more evil than Independence Blue Cross.
Yeah.
And I'm quite conflicted about Stifel and Guggenheim, honestly. It just I totally agree that they can't crack the top 3 yet, though they have the potential to, depending on the direction that our great world heads. They are one of the foremost, intergalactic military contractors setting up nuclear warheads to fight space world wars. Like they're shooting up to the top. All right.
What is there a catchy name that you would call those space world wars? Like maybe Space Wars?
No, we're getting close though.
Or like Star Battles?
Treks? You have to trek out there. Trek? No, that's taken. We'll keep working on it.
All right. I think that it's on the tip of our tongue, and I think it'll come to us maybe by the end of recording.
Because Marathon Transfer, Energy Transfer, and Oxy are probably routing some petroleum-based energy to a company like York to fund their services. So they are still more evil,
Yeah, well, I think the impact that extractive companies like Oxy
Yeah, why
have
do we need to
on
go
communities
to space?
are more directly harmful.
Mm-hmm.
York Space
Conceptually,
Systems is playing the long game.
Right, exactly. I think they're 4th.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about Stifel and Guggenheim, except for the fact that maybe I don't really understand what they do.
Well, this is frankly, I think, how private equity
yes.
gets away with a lot of shit.
They have a balance sheet, sort of. They're objectively doing mostly bad things for the world, broadly, that they exist. But then within that, it's okay, Guggenheim funds the Dodgers to be able to pay Shohei Ohtani $700 million. How do I square that?
Yeah.
They I don't know. They do all of this greenwashing investment nonsense. So how do I square any of that stuff? It's much more murky. York
so you're saying that
is evil in a way
private
that I
equity
understand.
takeovers maybe do not always provide clarity to industries on what their true goals are.
I struggle.
I posit that idea just in case it comes up again in the near future.
Okay, great. Noted.
Mm-hmm. Put a pin in that one.
I struggle to see where, if anywhere, there's anything good about what York is doing. What even is the argument in support of a company like this existing?
You said it at the beginning. They're building the space economy, and they're building it at home.
This is sort of build submarines. It's
exactly. I mean,
I guess.
Sure.
Who's your target audience here? Is the president watching Rockies games? No one else has the ability to help your company. I know. I understand this. It's consent manufacturing again. I know I say that every week. Take a shot every time me or Alex says consent manufacturing. But they also announced that community impact is a cornerstone of the partnership. And York is going to be presenting an annual suite of STEM-focused youth and educational initiatives, including STEM Day, Rockies annual charity night, and the Rockies charity golf tournament. That's not even like we're putting on STEM classes. That's like we're doing one day a year where we talk about math at Coors Field. That's not even half-assing it.
And for those interested, we have internships available at York Space Systems. Well, yeah, I mean, it's the ultimate goal, right? Grow the pipeline, brother.
Yeah.
We need American hands building this economy.
Building the space economy, building submarines. We got to go high, we got to go low. We can't leave anywhere uncovered. Subterranean, intergalactic.
Okay, so fourth. So that means Oxy, number 1, Energy Transfer 2, Marathon at 3, York Space Systems as the 4th most evil jersey patch sponsor.
Absolutely unbelievable to have Guggenheim and Independence Blue Cross not even make it to the top 5.
I know.
You really got to hand it to Major League Baseball and their 30 independently owned clubs. I mean, you really got to hand it to them.
As we noted last week, we still have a couple outstanding teams. I think the Twins are one of them.
Yeah, we have 3 teams who don't have a sponsor.
We did this last week.
The Twins, the White Sox.
I don't remember. There we go. Yep.
And the Rays. Now I'm kind of curious as to whether any of these teams could cook up something that cracks the top 5, because there's no bloat going on up there. It's all lean, mean, evil machines at the top of this list.
Well, interestingly, also, all 3 of those teams are at various stages of a sale of their franchise.
Right, exactly.
I wonder how much, if any, that impacts who those partners, is. What is the Ishbia brother who owns it? Justin, right? Who's
the Sox?
Coming into the White Sox?
Yeah.
Does he start leveraging?
Justin 1T, just like his brother Matt 1T, who owns the Sox.
Exactly. Does he leverage his partnerships?
Probably just be his company, right?
Right, exactly.
I'll tell you what, it won't be Rocket Mortgage, his sworn enemy.
That's right.
Okay. This was fun. Did we do this justice?
I think we did.
Okay.
I love learning about critical national security capabilities as a service. Like, I'm sorry, I can only be me.
As a service is so funny. Like,
it's so
in a way,
funny.
what are we're doing podcasting as a service.
Podcast doesn't say exactly everything. Yeah, you do a business. That's your thing. You provide services.
Audio as a service. And here to join us to provide more audio as a service is one of our good pals, Jen Ramos Eisen. We are going to talk about Diamond Baseball Holdings and their article for Defector.com about the goings-on about town and the big business of minor league baseball. Okay, we are so delighted to be once again, at long last. This has been a long time in the making. We are joined by Jen Ramos Eisen. Jen, hello, longtime friend of the show. How are you?
Not bad. Not bad. How are y'all?
We're good. We're not in a Atlanta hotel for the All-Star game, All-Star weekend. So honestly, I would venture to guess I'm feeling pretty good. Better than you, maybe.
Yeah, just a tad. Just a tad. I have nothing against the city of Atlanta. Love the city of Atlanta. Haven't been back here in 25 years. Enjoying my time here. I cannot say the same about White Flight Park.
Well, you get to watch some of the events, including the Home Run Derby in person, which means you don't have to listen to ESPN's coverage of it. So maybe you are actually one-upping us in that way.
There is that. There is that. And I get to ask Cal Raleigh, if I get a chance to, one of the most cursed questions, which is, which nickname does he prefer better? Big Dumper or his Modesto nickname of Beef Boy?
Oh, Beef.
wow.
I don't know that I was familiar with Beef Boy.
Deep cuts only. This is what happens when you bring on a
He's
minor league
made
baseball
shirts.
reporter. Yeah.
He made shirts in Modesto of Beef Boys.
Beef Boys.
I saw one of the, I don't know which one it was, but one of the Cespedes Family Barbecue Boys tweeted out yesterday. Like, it's awesome seeing like someone who has a real like role player nickname that everyone just gave to him as like a little goofy bit, and he's become one of the best players in the league, but he still has that like goofy. Now we have to call him Big Dumper or maybe Beef Boy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, the train's already left the station on that.
He rewrote the lyrics to Drift Away to be about Beef Boys. And like, since 2019, I have not been able to get it to leave my head. And it's give me the Beef Boys and free my soul. I want to get lost in your casserole. If I get a chance to, I am going to ask Cal if he remembers that.
That's really special. I think they should have a special performance at the All-Star game for that wonderful season he's having so far. I saw a stat this morning that he's 6 for his last 36 with 6 home runs as those 6 hits. So like, just fuck it. We ball, you know? What a season he's having. What a season he is having. Okay, well, Jen, you're not here to talk about Big Dumper, although we could probably do 15 more minutes if we really wanted to. Somehow you're not here to talk about Bob Nightingale either. You're here to talk about Diamond Baseball Holdings, which it's been a pretty constant topic of the podcast in the last 18 or so months. They are the private equity-backed minor league baseball ownership conglomerate that has been scooping up teams over the last couple years. You've been working for quite a long while on a great feature that just recently ran over in defector.com. Which we were big fans of, and we wanted to bring you on to talk about this. We'll pull the curtain back just for a second here. We've been trying to have you on for the last couple months to talk about this, but the story keeps changing, and I imagine that will be part of our conversation. But I wanted to kick us off here by asking, I think keen observers of minor league baseball and Major League Baseball over the last couple of years have noticed Diamond Baseball Holdings coming in. We've been talking about it a little bit, especially in the context of the changing landscape of minor league baseball. But I wanted to start by asking, like, when did you realize that this was a huge story that you wanted to report a big piece about? And moreover, like, when did you realize that they were kind of be here to stay as a player? I imagine you started hearing rumblings of them before it became that they owned dozens of minor league teams.
September 2023.
Okay, wow. So really a long time in the making.
Yeah.
What was it about that time that really flagged them for you as like, okay, this is a huge player here?
It was, I do my usual coverage of talking to a lot of different folks across different teams, especially, outside of California now that like my scope has expanded past the Cal League, and just like talking to folks for different teams and realizing like there was something that they were saying that all connected to a specific team. And that was when I was like, wait a minute, why is this all owned by the same ownership group? At that point, I started looking into them more, started contacting more folks I knew with those teams and asking, like, what do you know about them? And I was still working on my player on like non-English speaking international player story, while like in the background, I was just kind of finding loose threads about DBH, trying to figure out what it is that they were doing exactly. And then around the time of the 23 winter meetings, especially when it was everyone trying to keep tabs on where Shohei Ohtani was going to sign, I had seen that DBH quietly announced that like they bought the Worcester Red Sox, they bought a couple other teams. And I was like, this went under the radar because everyone's focusing on Ohtani. So from there, I just kept going.
Because as you alluded to, right, you have long had ties to minor league baseball, done a lot of reporting on it, the California League specifically, but more broadly, I think you have done a good job of kind of documenting whether it's housing, whether it's how international players are settling into the minor leagues. You have those relationships. And I know that like us from an outside perspective, we see this and we're like private equity, like, get this shit out of my sport.
Well said, Alex. Private equity, XOXO, so random. Private equity.
Rar. XD, brother. But what was kind of the responses that you were hearing when you started talking to folks, and I know you outlined some of this in the article, but the folks that you were speaking with in the minor leagues, was it like, we don't have any idea what this is? Was it like, yeah, this is just the corporate march of Major League Baseball, like it is what it is? Like, can you characterize for us a little bit how folks seemed to be responding to this slow moving takeover?
I mean, the general consensus that I would sum up is like, we don't know what the fuck is going on here. And that, to me, was concerning because, I mean, as Calcaterra said in his newsletter about this, like, previous ownership groups weren't always the best. There was always shadiness going on. It was the minor leagues. Like, the absolute weirdest shit goes on in the minor leagues. But that doesn't mean, obviously, private equity is any better. If anything, it seemed more concerning from a labor standpoint, where minor league front office employees weren't really sure of what their future was like in not only minor league baseball, but sports. And I had talked to a lot of folks who were like, if DBH buys up many more teams, I don't know if I can stay in baseball. If they buy the team that I'm with, I would leave sports. And that was a new thing that I hadn't heard before. And I've talked to so many employees over the years. They're like, if I don't like it here, I could go to another team, another league. I can move around. With like contracting 40 plus teams, and now it's only down to 120 teams, and they nuke the 2 levels, that gets less and less likely to be able to stay in sports. And it's not as though there's an easy path to go from working in a minor league front office to a major league front office. If anything, I've seen folks have an easier time to go from minor league baseball to work for an NHL front office. And so from there, people were starting to get concerned of their livelihoods. They weren't sure what their futures were going to look like. They weren't sure how much time they had left with a couple of these teams. This year's Modesto's last season. Last year, Down East Wood Ducks moved to Spartanburg. Mississippi moved to Columbus, Georgia. People were very concerned, like what that would mean for their team. Part of that is the facility standards upgrade, which I know is meant to be better, to give players a better workplace and, actually have a lot of these stadiums fit the 21st century. I mean, if anyone's ever been to Visalia, California, it is in dire need of upgrades. But at the same time, then it just falls on public dollars to try and upgrade these stadiums. And I've been following the Eugene Emeralds case. They're not DBH team, but they're currently looking for a new ballpark because Lane County voters and City of Eugene doesn't want to give them public dollars. They're like $30 million short, and now they have no place to build. So there is still a lot of shuffling to be done, and we don't know if Eugene's going to meet the facility standards deadlines. And because of a lot of these facility standards, there's just been a lot of concern of what the future of the minor leagues looks like. And it gets even worse if they're owned by DBH. For example, the Memphis Redbirds are having a stadium issue, and they are owned by DBH. San Jose Giants just signed a 25-year lease agreement with the city of San Jose. Their ballpark is one of the oldest in the California League, if not the oldest used ballpark in the California League, first opening in, I believe, 1942, 1943.
Wow.
Has not really been upgraded that much since. Where is that money coming from? Modesto is moving to San Bernardino, and then San Bernardino is moving to Rancho Cucamonga, and then Rancho Cucamonga is moving to Ontario, California, and they are building a new state-of-the-art facility that is going to become the Dodgers affiliate, and that's public funding. So there's just like a lot of questions of what's going on there.
Yeah, so I think that for for context, I hope folks have read the article, and if they haven't, it'll provide a lot of the baseline context just in terms of like numbers of what's been happening. But Diamond Baseball Holdings owns more than 40 teams at this point. The current limit, governed by the CBA, minor league CBA, I believe, is the max that you can own is 50 teams. So they're bumping up on that. One of my questions reading this piece was, well, aside from the fact that there's all this conspiratorializing about whether or not MLB is like secretly pulling the strings of Diamond Baseball Holdings, which we don't need to get into because there's not really concrete proof either way. And people love to have conspiracy theories. And ultimately, I don't think it really matters if they're acting in alignment anyway. Ultimately, the result is the same. But I think one of my big takeaways here was, so the biggest existential fear around minor league baseball is that they're just trying to get rid of as many teams as possible over time because they think that it's inefficient. And we, as lowercase b baseball fans, we say, hey, well, this is the most accessible version of baseball. It reaches the most small towns. It's the cheapest. It's the most family friendly version of professional or semi-professional baseball that we could possibly have. And we all know this. We've talked about this for years at this point. So the fear is that they're going to start axing some of these teams. But my question for you is, it's hard for me to get a sense of whether or not the fear is that MLB is just going to try to cut every team that's not owned by Diamond Baseball Holdings, or whether or not Diamond Baseball Holdings is just going to be like, we'll consolidate our portfolio and we'll cut in, we'll allow 25 of the teams that we've bought to just disappear off the face of the earth and then focus on the other 20 teams that we still own. So does that make sense? Like, what is the fear here? That they're just that Diamond Baseball Holdings will be the only thing standing, or that they are just sort of like a friendly player to allow MLB to get rid of some of the teams that they own?
So there's obviously like no concrete proof of anything. It's all just been theories. And I think like a lot of the concern would be the latter, that like Diamond Baseball Holdings would be willing to consolidate and have a smaller portfolio. There's no proof of that. No one's really said anything to the contrary. Nobody knows anything. And I think it's just the fact that there is nothing to like say, no, that's not what we're doing. We don't know. It opens it up to so many more conspiracy theories. And I think that ends up being like the bigger problem in itself, is that they want to operate kind of behind a cloak so that they can do whatever, but then everyone's still left in the dark.
I think like the other interesting side of this too is like the real estate element, which you call out.
Love
right?
talking
like,
about real estate, dude.
I love talking about. I unfortunately, for better or for worse,
you, A-Rod, Warren Buffett.
But it's like, they have, you mentioned some of the sort of moving around that they're doing, some of the appeals that they are making to local city governments, saying, hey, help us with these upgrades, help us build this new park, and also building out like the entertainment side of minor league baseball. And it does seem to me that for as much as, maybe they are working with Major League Baseball, maybe they are not, I'm sure it's easier to say, hey, here, look at the balance sheets of the 50 teams we own and just cut the lowest 5 or whatever. But also then there's value in the rest of those 45 teams or 30 teams that they keep around, because you have these mixed use developments that, maybe they host 60 or 70 baseball games a year, and then the rest of the year it's this like entertainment district. I mean, like, do you get the sense that when Pat Battle walks into like a local city town hall or something like that, that they are actually pitching like a love for minor league baseball, for like localized baseball? Or is it more kind of like baseball is the amuse-bouche, so to speak, and the real meat of it is, hey, we're going to turn this into this really valuable sort of entertainment district with condos and this and that. What is your kind of take on that side of things?
It really seems like there is a huge real estate part of this. And I mean, the Sports Business Journal, obviously that's something that the Uber nerds read, and because it ties into my beat, I keep following it as much as it hurts my soul. Things that happen when I'm a former economics student as well. And now I'm a communist. So
many such
reading it,
cases, many such, you learn about economics and you're like, hey, wait, some of this isn't adding
Literally.
up.
it's like study economics at a radical women's college will do something to your brain. But even they've pointed out the real estate play. And I think what we're seeing in Louisville, that there is this established plan to create an entertainment district there. And Louisville obviously is one of the bigger cities in Kentucky. And there is a sizable amount of sports fans there, especially with college ball.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of opportunities there. And it's just something that they're seeing as, I guess, untapped markets. And again, there's no real thing as a small market team because these are all major metropolitan areas. And AAA teams are major metropolitan areas. So it seems like they really want to be able to build whatever there, mixed use, little mini white flight parks everywhere, and turn it into that. They're following a lot of these models these big league teams are doing, like Mission Rock in San Francisco. Wrigleyville is obviously the prime example. I don't think that I mentioned this in the story, but DBH only owns one of the ballparks that of the team that they have, and it's Charlotte.
Mm.
And everyone who's like terminally online in baseball knows Charlotte has been one of the cities that's often been tossed around as a contender for being an MLB city.
Yeah.
Now, DBH owning both the Charlotte Knights and the ballpark means that they can do whatever to like build around it.
Yeah.
There have been some cases where in like different AAA cities, I've called local reporters and just asked them or local folks that I know who live in the area. I asked them, what does the land around the ballpark look like? I asked someone I know in Syracuse, DBH bought the Syracuse Mets. What do they have around there? And they're like, it's a dead mall. Like, I can see the real estate angle there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity. That's what surrounds it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was part of my reporting. I was like, okay, they bought in this places. Like, what do they have there? Ontario, new stadium. I don't know what's around it. It could be a lot of land. They could build it up. I know Ontario has a minor league hockey team as well. Maybe it's something that, they want to go to because some people in the Empire don't want to go to LA. I don't blame them. That traffic's bad. But that's where it seems like DBH is trying to capitalize on, is these untapped quote unquote markets that exist, but don't have the giant LA Live to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Alex, what comes between an untapped potential around a stadium and a mini Wrigleyville? You know what comes between. It's our favorite thing.
A rent seeker?
Well, yes, but renderings.
Oh.
Stadium renderings. We are about to get the influx of all influxes of stadium renderings of downtown ballparks in fucking all the way from Syracuse to Ontario, California. I cannot wait.
The renderings are out for Ontario because it's going to be open next year.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We've
got some work to do.
Look, we
Ballpark
always
Digest.
We always joked that we couldn't do a podcast just about renderings, but maybe we can.
Yeah.
Maybe we
If
can.
you go
Don't
through
give up that
Ballpark
dream.
Digest, Ballpark Digest has so many renderings of minor league ballparks. It's incredible. There's so many.
Someone's got to do it.
It's most important labor that's being done in the baseball industry. I find it so interesting. Like, this is like arbitrage opportunities for private equity to double down on like real life experiences as real estate plays, while simultaneously MLB and broadly sports in general are trying to digitize the experience of being a fan at the same time. So my working theory about this is that they're trying to basically polarize the experience of being a baseball fan. Like either you go to this place that is basically an amusement park for baseball, or you go online and experience the virtual ballpark, or you watch on MLB TV, or you subscribe on TikTok, or whatever it is. And then there's no like halfway in between that MLB can't control and maximize the profit. It really is, to me, like the one baseball is almost like the Disneyification of the sport of baseball in America. And I guess it's not surprising that whether or not they are a front for MLB, which is not really important, that it took private equity to make that happen. But I think one of the problems about this that I foresee, and this was kind of like the last question that I wrote down about this, was like, what happens when private equity does the private equity thing, which is like they promise really great things on the front end, and then when costs start to rise on the back end, they start to cut corners, and the thing that everybody loved because it was a high quality experience and memory of their childhood now sucks ass. So like the shorter version of that question is like, what happens when we never had the original Disney World? We only had the Disney World version that was like ruined by McKinsey consultants, you know? That's my worry, Jen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and that is a very legit worry. And honestly, we are now starting to see teams move. And especially with the weird California League shuffle, it could possibly be that. I mean, I am sure that I will go down to Ontario next season for opening day and just see what the fuck is going on there and what that experience is like. And I mean, I've been to countless numbers of games in Rancho Cucamonga, and I've been to Inland Empire, and I have experienced the dregs of the California League in Bakersfield and High Desert. I know what, a minor league experience has been like. Even 10 years ago, it was so different. But I feel like Ontario will be telling. Spartanburg will probably be telling this season. Columbus moved into Columbus in a stadium that already exists. I don't know what's going on there. I actually don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head if Spartanburg had a new stadium built or anything. But, Ontario having this giant new playground, it could be the McKinsey version of Disney that we're going to experience here. It's just like a new territory that is very unprecedented because we've never had it in the minor leagues before. And having seen a lot of the job postings that they had where things were regionalized and like you can see what is happening here. Like there's like moving to a regional format, especially when they own 5 of the 8 California League teams, which the rule was before you couldn't own more than 1 per league.
Mm.
And it's like, you own the majority of the California League. How does this work?
Yeah.
And I can count on like one hand the number of teams that I've heard where their owners already said they will not sell the DBH. And going to the
I love my resistance.
That's right.
Going to the profit part
My
of it.
petite bourgeois minor league baseball owners are holding down the fort. Let's go.
The profit part of it, I think, is a part of the story that I don't think has been talked about as much on social media is DBH brokering sponsorship deals for the league. They brokered the Circle K partnership that is league-wide, and I've heard that they've brokered much more. I've heard that it's because of the partnerships that they already have through Silver Lake. And Pat Battle's background with a lot of branding. And
That's just fucking bleak to me. I mean, the Miles Wolf quote stands out in the story where he says, "Do you understand how Diamond Baseball hopes to make money? I'm mystified." I mean, the way that they hope to make money probably is like doing a bunch of evil shit with a bunch of evil companies.
Well, and that was the thing that I had written with the slides is that they had wrote on those slides that minor league baseball is expected to be profitable in 2025, $5 million. And here's the thing. It has always been argued that minor league baseball is not profitable. And they use that as a justification to be like, not worth it to have minor leagues, teams lose money having players in the minor leagues, blah, blah. Here's the evidence that that's not true.
Yeah.
Like they literally said it themselves, and we obtained the slides that said it. And there's now minor league club profit sharing. So they are getting money from this.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5 figures though. That's still money.
Yeah.
And it is not an argument that Major League Baseball or minor league baseball can use anymore with these documents out there. And it has broken down like what DBH does in sponsorship escalation and sponsorship partnerships and everything. And this is in addition to Bally's media rights. A lot of the minor league broadcasts are now on the Bally app. So like it's all just been standardized. Before, like you would have to find like a local radio station app and listen to them. And I mean, some teams still do have that, but you can find everything on the Bally's app now. And that's also just like another thing that's different with this. And I mean, maybe even up to like 5 years ago, you can listen to minor league baseball on the minor league baseball app. It's not the greatest way to listen to games, but it was there. So there are a lot of these deals in place that are making minor league baseball much more profitable. But when you have DBH bringing in league-wide sponsors like Circle K and Oatly and whatever else, like if you're wondering why there's Malamo oat milkers everywhere, it's a league-wide sponsorship deal. Who else could have brokered that? You can see that there's money going into minor league baseball.
Yeah.
And that's the point where it just becomes a lost argument to say, like, there's no money in this. Why should they have it keep going? No, there's clearly money there. And, you know, like, these books have been closed for a very long time. Again, somehow lucked out obtaining, you know, all these documents with information about what is in their profits. And the key uncertainties that they said was also very concerning to me, because like they mentioned the Umpires Association CBA expiring this year. They mentioned the minor league union being just a key uncertainty. And it was cut off in the slide, but they did mention Diamond Baseball Holdings as something with the uncertainty. And that also makes me curious, what exactly is an uncertainty with them as far as these partnership deals go?
I do think it's really, well, like you talked about, you know, the sort of fallacy being broken open that this is not a profitable enterprise, right? And it mirrors, I think, a lot of what we see at the major league level every time a team goes up for sale or something like that, right? You have ownership groups, you have MLB executives saying, this is a tough business to be in. And frankly, it's not for the faint of heart. And oftentimes you're losing money. And yet every time a team goes on the market, there's a line out the door of folks who would like to buy the team. So either you are calling all of your owners bad businessmen, or you're lying. And I don't think it's the former. I mean, I thought it was interesting how Pat Battle basically heard about One Baseball, was like, you're getting a lot of flack for this. Our solution is, what if we just come in and do One Baseball for you? And it seemed like they were very receptive to that. Dan Halem, deputy commissioner, says, that's a great idea. Let me introduce you to my buddy over here who already owns a few minor league teams. And why don't you guys just sort it out? And so I, you know, kind of going back to what we said earlier, like it almost is beside the point whether or not Major League Baseball is calling the shots. I think it comes down to the fact that you have a couple friendly faces across the aisle, right? And, you know, it's not distinct from the fact that Endeavor or Silver Lake, it's hard to keep track of all these things, right? But they have the stake in, you know, agents in the sports agency. They have the stake in Fanatics, and it almost gets harder and harder to call out any sort of conflict of interest, because it's like, well, it's all one big conflict of interest. You guys are all working together anyway. You can't. There's
What if
no
we built
way
the
to
whole
sort of pull this
plane out of
apart.
the conflict of interest? Yes.
Well, and that's the other thing is that right now WME Baseball is reportedly looking to be sold off to break off from WME because of the Endeavor take private.
Mhm.
And because of that take private, then like Silver Lake has Endeavor, WME, and DBH under one umbrella, and that causes a lot more problems. The PA told me that they're, no comment, but I mean, there's been reports that in order to solve the conflict, they have to sell off. I've asked, like, what are any precautions to these conflict of interest? And that's where a source had told me, like, there's safeguards in place. And it's always a lot of safeguards. They tell
Right.
me.
Yeah.
What are the safeguards? What does this committee review? I don't know.
I personally love a safeguard, especially when the safeguard is being enforced by a private equity company on themselves.
Yes.
Like those are probably the most efficient types of safeguards. No one else even has to come in and figure out what to enforce, right? It's all good.
I think the one question that I still have that wasn't answered is, so we have the beginnings where like Battle was like, hey, let me do one baseball for you. And Halem introduces him to this owner who was already consulting on PDL stuff, which I've been told like, Peter Freund wasn't involved in like removing the contractual limit, like the one team per league part, and isn't involved in like the PDL anymore. Sure. How did Endeavor get involved? That is the question that has not been answered. How did Endeavor get involved? And then why was it okay that they sold up to Silver Lake? I have not gotten any answers why that was okay. And why I've not gotten answers why the PA approved of the sale up to Silver Lake when they still owned Endeavor.
Right.
Those are questions that I've had. And that slide deck, and like there's no answers to that slide deck whatsoever. I mean, MLB told me that they're not involved in the creation of that slide deck. Ricketts' PR team said to me, like, Ricketts has no involvement in DBH. Also, why is he listed under the Yankees? And that was one of the things that you could see. Like, Terry McGuirk is listed under Atlanta and the Dodgers. When was he ever involved in the Dodgers? But as, like, key spokespeople, you have Battle, Freund, and an Endeavor executive on it. And it's like, okay, so what did Endeavor actually do there? And if you look through, like, the LinkedIns of some DBH front office people, you can see they jumped from Endeavor to DBH. And they work DBH full time now.
I'll tell you one thing. The slide deck was just crazy, first of all. A crazy piece of this story. It smells like AI to me, honestly. It smells like it was made by AI. They're calling the Ricketts the Yankees owners. Like it smells like it picked up like dumb Reddit jokes where someone was like, looks like the Cubs own the Yankees now. And it was like, oh, the Ricketts own the Yankees, like AI, chat GPT or whatever, using that. That's what.
And this was in 21. I mean, it was dated like when the first 10 teams were bought.
They got that early access to OpenAI. They're using DALL-E.
DALL-E.
Okay, damn. This is crazy. Is there anything that we're missing, Jen? Anything that you think that keen observers say? If there's a listener of this podcast who's just like, I like to go to my minor league team's games, what should they be looking for, worried about, or thinking about with regards to Diamond Baseball Holdings?
I mean, I've covered teams that have been owned by DBH. For the most part, it's hit or miss what front office employees have told me. I mean, some of them will say, like, I've had an okay experience, but I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Or I'm scared of what's going to happen. So there's no consensus what one employee's experience is under a DBH team. And generally, I mean, I've been to Modesto Nuts games this season. It still feels like a Modesto Nuts game. Hasn't changed under DBH other than, like, I mean, they've had the stadium issues even before DBH came in. And it's their final season now, which is depressing to me as a person who lives closest to the Modesto Nuts. And now I'm like, man, I got to drive farther. But also, like, you're losing a team that's called the Nuts with its almond, pistachio, and walnut mascot. Like, come on. John Oliver would be upset by that. But for the most part, it's still the same experience. It's just like, you just have that looming thought in your head that, oh shit, this is now private equity backed. What's going to happen next? What am I supposed to fear? Am I going to fear that this is going to become more corporate Disney World? I mean, what's going on? I mean, it was not a surprise to me when I was told that, like, there's a much more corporate feeling to working under DBH than any other minor league ownership group.
I will say, like, it feels maybe not entirely coincidental that this happens around the time that minor league players unionize. I think it's maybe beneficial to have. I'm not saying that there's like any link there, but also, like, I think it probably helps to have a corporate roll up of ownership groups on your side in that, rather than trying to worm your way through 120 different like ownership groups or whatever it is. I think that, like, MLB is probably like, hey, let's get our sides in order if we're gearing up for a fight.
Are you trying to say that private equity and corporations are the antithesis of solidarity, Alex?
No.
You're trying to say that here on this podcast? Like,
no, I think they can work together.
Jen, thank you so much for coming on and talking DBH, and also congratulations on getting this story to print. I know that it was a long, long journey with many different steps along the way.
Thank you. No, I'm just very glad that it's out, and I'm very glad that it seems to be on many more people's radars. And I know, obviously, in our little terminally online circle of baseball sickos, like, they've been aware, like, what the hell is this? Well, I'm hoping that there's more knowledge out there, and I'm just hoping that this prompts more national reporters and also the local reporters to dig in more on what's going on, because this is a story that should be concerning, because it not only affects like minor league baseball on a national level, which we all know, but it will affect communities. And, again, like, I know Calcaterra said in his newsletter, like, romanticizing minor league baseball can be dangerous. And yes, it can be, because it can be utilized as like a right-wing thing, like, oh, apple pie and baseball. But, like, I live in a community where, like, a lot of Latinx folks hang out at minor league baseball games because it is one of the most affordable options that they can take their families to. Like, it is not homogenous and white. And as we can see, as the makeup of minor league players, there's a lot of Latinx players. So this is not just like an economic issue. This is a labor issue. It affects a lot of humans. So it really deserves a lot more attention. And I feel like the fact that I spent almost 2 years looking into them is like a lot, and there's still no answers. I just hope that it prompts more people to ask questions, especially like, how the fuck did Endeavor get involved here?
Extremely well said. Where can people find, other than defector.com, where you write relatively frequently, where can people find the rest of your minor league baseball coverage? Where should they check you out? So I primarily write at Defector. Obviously, shout out to them for being willing to take on these stories. I'm also a copy editor at a publication called The Objective, which looks to evaluate just kind of how media is working, and also just like different issues in media. I do some commentary on like what baseball media can do better there. And I should have something out there within the next 2 weeks too.
Hell yeah. Jen, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. It's been too long.
Thank you to Jen. Thank you to those new patrons. Thanks to everybody who signed up to come to the Kansas City meetup. Thank you to everyone more broadly who has listened. If you're listening this late in the podcast and you don't know, we do have some new merch offerings, which are making some noise out there in the world. Fewer work days, more ball games. That's a t-shirt that we're selling. No public money for billionaires. That's a t-shirt that we're selling. All of our nationalized baseball merchandise. Merchandise as a service. Shirts as a service.
T-shirts as a service.
SAS, shirts as a service. Bunch of good stuff over on our merch store, which is linked in the description. I don't have anything else to plug here other than I hope everybody enjoyed watching the Wimbledon final. Soft launching the tennis podcast.
I know you are. It's good. Hey, enjoy All-Star Week, everyone.
Sure, I guess.
Also that.
Whatever. I'm so out on All-Star Week.
I'm so locked in for Pat Mack.
Oh, I was like,
sorry,
Pat Battle, the Diamond Baseball Holdings owner?
Yes. Well, him too.
Pat Connaughton, the rotation player in the NBA. Pat Burrell, Philadelphia Phillies legend. Pat Trick Beverly, the now revealed Zionist NBA basketball player. I could keep going.
All of these above are my guys, like, to be very clear.
No, that's Pam Bondi. I was going to say Pat Bondi.
Damn, put some respect on her name.
All right, that's our cue to stop. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back next week.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Rodriguez. Tipping pitches.
Tipping pitches.
This is the one that I love the most.
Tipping pitches.
So we'll see you next week. See ya!